what's your name?
Chaim Retek,
Yeah.
GNP insurance broker.
What does GNP stand for?
Gross national product.
Oh, okay. I'm sure you have a lot of nicknames for what it stands
Oh,
for.
we have so many nicknames for it.
All right, so Chaim, so tell me about yourself. What's your background? How you got to insurance? Let's hear that.
I'll start from where we are now, and I'll try to backtrack a little bit.
Go for it.
We are three partners. It's Chaim Retek, Chaim Goldberger, and Shai Retek.
How's Shai Retek related to you?
He's my son,
I figured. Okay, very good.
and he's the CEO of our company.
Kibbutz of aim lessons right here. How to do it. How to take chinuch lessons. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah. Anyway, so we come to the OJBA show, and the reasons why we come here to ensure and help out all the businesses that are here. Now, I came in a few times in and out, and I was listening to a few little stories, and the few times I came in for a few minutes, it's what we do. We help out these companies. Let's say a company like you had before that he almost shut down, and he had stuck with one little truck, and all of a sudden he finds himself with 9 trucks and 80 employees. So all of a sudden, what kind of insurance do I need? What kind of exposures do I have?
Let's get to your company in a second, but I still want to start from your background. What's your story? What was your first job? What did you do? Let's hear a quick synopsis of your life.
Okay, so my background is that my father is in the insurance business, life and health, estate planning. I'm doing it since I'm a little kid. That's Ethic Insurance. And he always said, okay, Chaim, go take a policy and sell it. Go to Yankel, go to Shloime, and sell an insurance policy. And it was just life insurance, and it didn't talk to me. So I, like most children do, what my father told me to do, I did everything just the opposite. Till I came around full circle and got my license on the property casualty. I joined Chaim Goldberger. He was in business before me. I tried doing it on my own, and I figured working together with other good people would work best. And it's true. When you work together with other good people, you could accelerate and help out so much more, discuss issues and solve issues.
You always involved in insurance world, that world?
No. Like I said, my father said insurance, and I went the other way.
What are some of the things you did?
My first job was selling auto parts, and I was actually making good money there. I found that my clientele that I was talking to wasn't the clientele that I would like to be all day with.
Okay.
It was a different atmosphere, and even though I was young, I'm married a year, I decided with my wife, I'm going to look elsewhere. So we looked elsewhere. But it took me a while, and until I came full circle to go into the insurance business.
Okay.
So I had a lot of experience. My last job was that I was selling medical equipment. So that got me a little bit into the healthcare industry. I got a nice background, and my clientele from the healthcare, I approached them for the healthcare industry to insure them. So at this point, I went through growth, like most good businesses go through, of being a salesman, and all of a sudden you find you're successful, and all of a sudden you have to be a good administrator also. And that part, I didn't like that much, but you got to do that. Mm-hmm. And we struggled through it. And Baruch Hashem, we came to a point when my son Shai came in. He came in as a salesperson, but he quickly grew in the company. He's a fabulous CEO and brought in more salespeople. We have over 20 salespeople.
Let's focus on your company. What does GNP insurance do, right? Because the term insurance is a very broad spectrum, right? It can mean anything from medical to health to business to anything, personal casualty. So what is that you focus on? You said business. Explain that. Does it mean that every company has an office, they need liability insurance? What does your insurance cover?
Very good question. So you could specialize, have a niche in different industries.
Correct.
Okay. Which you have a niche in the construction industry. And once you grow in an industry, business brings on its own industry. And business in every industry, like construction, it branches out in various different risks. What do you do? There are some people that say, listen, I'm not going to do complicated. I'm here to make money, and I'm just going to, can I write a workers' comp liability policy? I gravitated to complicated. Complicated, you need a good solution. Let me figure this out. And
what do you mean by that? Someone's doing a complex job, a complex company. Explain what are complex issues.
Industry that is very high in claims, high-rise buildings, scaffolding.
You're focused mostly on real estate?
No, my focus was construction. We do a ton of in real estate. But a lot of my real estate came from because I was focusing on construction.
So you don't do life insurance.
I do not do life insurance. We have a good acquaintance with Red Tech Insurance Planning. It's family business that the life and health we refer and we work together.
How many people work in your company today?
So we have about 22 salespeople and it keeps on growing. So we're probably now about 80 employees between our three offices that we have. We have, Baruch Hashem,
90.
how much? And 9.
Employees keep counting.
And growing.
You have proud employees, awesome. What's your name, Tzadik? Isaac Meisel. So you have big see them over here also.
Yes.
Social support, don't say that on camera, man.
It's one of the very strong points in our company that we all give each other emotional support.
Let's talk about it. Go ahead. I want to hear about that.
Robert is in the back. He's our broker manager. And he manages all our brokers and makes sure that everyone's in line and doing what they're supposed to be doing. But insurance is a critical point for every business. If you do not insure a business properly to their risk, you can put them out of business.
Insurance by nature is a hard thing to sell. Why? Because you're selling us something that A, the person doesn't want to have, right? They don't want to have an issue. And B, they hope never to use it, right? So it's a very unique product often to sell to a person. And especially, like you're saying, when it gets complicated, is you have to explain, hey, let me tell you the risk that could happen if this doesn't mess up. And I want you to pay me money, essentially, whatever, to insure this item. So that's something that's probably a hard thing to get across, especially when you're trying to tell the customer, hey, you need this, hey, you need that. Am I wrong?
So I hope you're going to allow me to differ with you. Insurance is not a hard thing to sell. It's one of the easiest things to sell.
Fantastic.
Because
like I said, you're a natural born salesman, but let me hear why.
You can't be in business without it. Everyone needs to be insured. We're sitting on a chair, and the chair manufacturer is insurance, the distributor is insurance, the guy that brought the chair over here has to be insurance, and the building we're sitting in needs to be insured. And the guy who made the microphone needs to be properly insured. And we could go on and on. Now, you could choose not to be insured or to be insured. Whoever had a claim once, he's going to know that he's never going to be without insurance.
That I'm not disagreeing with. But once again, like I said, I think my point is correct, is that it's two things you have to do when it comes to a client. A, like you said, many clients don't even know they need insurance, which is that education for sure. But then I'm sure this applies to business all the time. Someone comes and goes, listen, I have a project, I need insurance, right? So give me this, but you explain, listen, my friend, you need a lot more than you think, right? This is what you need. That is something you have to explain to. That is a selling point. How do you give that across? That's my question.
Very good. So, first of all,
for the record, I said it the first time. I'm just clarifying it. Go ahead. Yeah.
I keep on telling our producers, we're not in the convincing business. I don't convince anyone. I will explain. And like our Rosh Hashivas used to say, in Yiddish, fehlt in Havuna, fehlt in Asbura.
Yeah, they attributed Briskeruv, yeah.
So
fehlt in Asbura, you didn't finish the whole line. Fehlt in Havuna, fehlt in Asbura.
That's right. So, if you understand what you're presenting to the client, then you're going to be able to explain to him if you understand his situation.
I hear you.
One of the keys to do that is listening. You got to listen to your client, observe, be extremely observant, and understand the industry. You really need to understand it.
I want you to explain. I want you to give an example of the last policy you did for a company, a client. Let's give an example of your last company, last policy.
Okay. On a daily basis, we write large contractors.
Let's give examples so people understand.
So you're going to write a large contractor. This is a construction show. So you're going to have a general, let's say a general contractor.
Be specific. I'm serious. Think of the last decent contract you signed. I want you to tell me about it.
So let's talk about a general contractor that's doing work in the city, Manhattan, where no insurance companies like to write in New York City. He's doing condominium work, which a lot of insurance companies don't like to do condominium work. He's working in high-rise businesses that are about 80 floors and higher in Manhattan. His average jobs are, let's say, $10 million. Now, he's working with subcontractors. So what he's running into, there are so many exposures in that you need to bring to the table. So a guy that's in business for 30 years, like I am, he knows already that he needs to have proper liability. He knows already he can't have all his exclusions in his policy. He knows already that he wants to have a special installation policy because he's going to have all of a sudden, he's going to have eventually damage to merchandise to a renovation that he did already and it's just about finished and all of a sudden there's a $1 million claim. His liability won't pay for it. So I'm going to touch on things that if you're really not into it, you're not going to really appreciate. But he's going to know that he needs an installation policy, he needs a pollution policy because there could be water damage and mold. He knows he needs to have a professional liability policy. He knows he could have a construction defect policy. Now, we could go on and on. So, a guy with my experience and all my full staff, we make sure that they have our experience.
Well, I hear what you're saying. I want to ask you a question. I'm thinking about it more now. Tell me if I'm wrong about this. The insurance business, in a certain sense, I know it shouldn't be this way, but you're kind of playing the fear factor, right? I know it shouldn't be that way, but there's a fear, right? Like, I'm afraid this happens. I want to make sure this doesn't happen. Is that right? Like, straight up. That's the play. Am I wrong?
What I'm doing is I'm calming the fears.
I hear. Fine.
An educated consumer has fears. And when you listen to his fears, you're going to come back with his solutions.
So, Rabbi Retik, let me ask you a question. You know that you speak very slow. I don't know if you know this. I'm sure you know this about yourself. You speak slow, calm, succinctly, thought out, proper. Quite the opposite connotation of the classic, let's call it insurance salesman, which I hear what you're saying. You said that's what you do. You're a listener, right? You talk slow. You get the person to think. Like I myself, for example, I can speak publicly. When I speak publicly, I speak slowly, nice, clearly. But generally speaking, I can speak rapid fire to the point where I remember I had a worker that every once in a while when I would speak, they would hold up a sign, speak slowly. So here, every once in a while in my brain, I'll remind myself, talk slow. When I leave somebody a voice note, sometimes people who have WhatsApp, they listen to 1.5 speed, 2 speed. For me, they need a 0.5 speed to listen. It doesn't exist yet, but they have to have it. But I like the way that you come across slowly, and you try to educate your employees to speak the same way. I'm sure it's a factor.
Yes, the way we do that, we have internally in our company different groups. So you have salespeople as a group. We have scheduled meetings, bi-weekly meetings that we have with our brokers. When we meet this Monday, for example, there was a education part of the meeting. And either I will do it, or my partner Chaim Goldberg will do it, or Shai Retek, or we'll bring an insurance company down to explain it to them. Now, then we have our internal staff.
One of the things you might say is how to speak to a person, how to talk, and how to come across them calmly. It's very, very interesting. It's very, in business, I've interviewed so many different people, and it's very rarely the actual business that's what sells. Like never. I explain this to people when I do an article in Ami magazine. I mean, this took years to craft. I'll spend pages and pages on the person's background story, and if you're being interviewed, you don't really understand why is that important. Like, okay, so he went to the yeshiva. Okay, so who cares? And the fact is, and I tell this to people, by the way, when you go to meet somebody, and that's the reason why I asked you about your background. If I'm interviewing somebody and I'm asking you for advice, so I have to assume the customer knows you, or the person reading it knows you, they trust you, and now I want to hear what you say. But if I read about your background, now I have a connection to you. I know who you are. There's this famous entrepreneur, Shark Tank, Kevin O'Leary, right? So I once interviewed him, and I had the chutzpah to tell him, and I've said this before, I said, I'm sure you've done interviews in the past. I'm willing to bet this is different than any interview you've ever done. Oh, gutsy thing to say a guy like that. And
Got him thinking.
What? Yeah, I said, why? I said, because I'm not going to hear to grill you. I want to hear your background story. And Hanami, I got him all emotional. He was crying, and he said, you should know this is better than any interview I've ever done, which is a great compliment. But I think, why am I saying that? Because the way you come across in sales and business, that's, I think, the same idea. You can't sell a product. They're not coming to you because you might get you're a broker, right? So you obviously shop the policies. You're not necessarily getting a cheaper policy than someone else. That's not necessarily, maybe you do, but I'm sure that's not the reason why people are going to GNP. The reason I think is because you bring this into the company, let's talk about it, let's be educated, let's calm, let's have this relationship. And to me, again, I just met you right now, but this is my guess, and you're nodding your head, so I'm on the right track, is you educate your employees that insurance is about, let's speak to the person, let's hear what they have to say. And then, because it's a fear-based business, that might work better. Does that make sense?
Yes, one of the reasons why I come to the show is to have nachas. And I'll explain. For example, today, I was standing by my booth, and one of our clients came over to us, and he was payroll. He says, so-and-so is one of the brokers, and I'm coming to tell you, he does a fabulous job. Look how many people I refer to him, because my clients who I refer are so happy with him. And he does a fabulous job. I could rely. I know that I could send my clients over to you, and he'll take care of him. Now, that broker, he's a good broker, but he gets empathy passion from us. He gets this background experience, and he gets a company that we invest tremendously in our company. We have in our construction division, our high construction division, the elite construction, in the healthcare division. You go on and on. The various different divisions that we have has that back.
I want to ask you about that, and we'll end with my final question. You said you're there. You like to be there. You said at the beginning you like to be there emotionally for your employees, right? I want to know what you mean by that. Explain what you mean by you support your employees. So what does that mean?
Okay, just like you listen to your clients to hear what their needs are, you have to do the same with your employees. If you want to have a great functioning company that is functioning at all cylinders for your clientele, they need to be happy, number one. They need to be educated and understand what they're doing. And they need to know what they're doing. They need to know why they're there.
Emotional support is a little bigger than that, supporting them in their hopes and dreams in their life. It's not just, the basic thing, but when you say that, know where they're there, what do you mean by that?
Every person who's doing something needs to know that what my goal is. Everyone is goal-oriented. And when you meet your goals, and you're told you met your goals, and you're complimented for meeting your goals, you thrive to do better.
Does that apply even to the person who's not selling, from the bookkeeper to the data entry person, the same idea, the same concept?
From the person that fills the shelves with the office supplies.
Interesting. So I like what you're saying, because recently I've been speaking to a lot of people and they talked about the same idea. There are a lot of employees that come to work and they're diligent workers. They work for hours. They don't waste time. But if they don't know what they're going for or what they feel accomplished, they don't even feel accomplished and they'll burn out. So just by clarifying, hey, you do this and you do this great, that's amazing. You have a booth here at OGBA. First year at OGBA?
No, we're since you guys started.
Have you ever accounted Parnassa straight from this place?
What do you mean account?
Meaning that business that you believe clients or relations that form simply because of OJBA.
I could tell you that my existing clientele, a large part are here, which business brings business. So people, just the mere fact that I could stand with 3 of my clients by my booth will bring a new, fresh client.
It's one of the most common things that people say. You deal with people, clients, and you don't always see them. I never do, I never done. You don't see everybody. But when you come to a show and you visit them again, the relationship forms again, and you restart again, that really makes it amazing. Retik, it's a pleasure meeting you, a pleasure speaking to you.
Yeah.
We enjoyed it a lot. I have to end with my final question I ask everybody, because it's fun, especially guys who seems even-keeled like you. How do you handle stress in your life?
First of all, every good deed has a connection to a koilul and my wellness. So first of all, give to the...
First of all, that's not true, but I'm happy you're connected that way.
So we give tzedakah, I say a tefillah to the Eibishter, and then we go deal with the issue. And I have a minute. Don't get lost. There's always a solution. Before the problem came, the solution is there. You just got to find it.
So first of all, I want to just touch on what you just said, and we'll end with that, because it's a beautiful thing that Fatzach used to do it all the time. The constant, when you're going through a struggle, give a little tzedakah, zugat tefillah. That's, I just interviewed a man named Eli Bash, and he said something very interesting from Rav Schlesinger and Muncie. He said that Yid, we believe, we were taught that, davening is a minute betuchen, and working is a shtadlis, right? We do our shtadlis. He said the exact opposite. He said, everyone knows that you need to rely on HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? So relying on Hashem, that's your shtadlis. When you work, Hashem wants you to work, and you don't really want to work, that's a minute b'tachin, right? To do that with the right idea. But that's a pleasure. Thank you so much.